Well, good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome to Monday night's edition of FSU Weather. We're going to start you off with a live look at Doak. We've got that gorgeous sunset, and look at the way these clouds are sort of wrapping here. 71, partly cloudy, so pretty mild out. As always, take this episode and watch it outside tonight. We've got some great temperatures around the rest of the area. 71 here in Tallahassee, a little cooler already in Valdosta, probably near sunset already. They're getting those cooler temperatures, and it's going to be in our area pretty soon. No tropical activity that we have coming up at all. We're kind of starting to near the end of hurricane season here. But as we take a look at our headlines, we've got a short show today, short cast list. It's just me and Daniela. But we've also got a little bit of a warmer week ahead. We're going from cool and dry to warmer and dry. And also, like I said, a little bit less time here in hurricane season. We're going to talk all this and more on FSU Weather.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm student meteorologist Daniela Streety here with Ansley Goebel, and yeah, you were just talking about 2 weeks left of hurricane season and no activities. I mean, typically this is a time of year we see, a little bit of a drop off, but we've been very fortunate this whole entire season.
Yes, very quiet, and I feel like we've kind of talked in our classes a little bit about the presence of a La Nina, which, if you guys don't know that at home, that's basically just a little bit of a less active hurricane season with a lot more context behind it that we don't expect anyone to, understand. I don't even fully understand it, but a little bit of a quiet season here, especially for us. I know every season since freshman year, we've pretty much gotten a week off for hurricanes, right?
Yeah, or some kind of severe weather, and so far we've been staying high and dry. It's been very warm here. Most of our area is in an extreme drought. Hoping and praying for rain, and we've been very, sparse with that. And overall, I mean, we had a cold snap last week. That was really enjoyable for people to get a nice little cool down, but now we are ramping right back up to kind of where we were before, staying those hot and warm temperatures for the rest of the week. Definitely not feeling like November.
Yeah, that is for sure. And I feel like it's all because of that one dry September. We had like nothing, and then the trend has just kind of continued, not so like drastically as we had it there, but it has definitely been the trend. And I feel like I would almost rather have rain and be like miserable, dreary, cold as long as we get a little bit of rain here.
I would just like to wear a long sleeve shirt, like at least a long sleeve shirt, please, I'm begging. Not just wearing a hoodie for classes. I mean, the classrooms in here do be cold, so I do kind of still wear hoodies, but I would like to wear my hoodie all the time, walking to class, going out from class.
Yeah, I feel like,
class.
especially in comparison to years from past to now, I feel like I've definitely noticed a difference where I'm walking to class and it's way warmer. Now, I have later classes on some days, but still, when I wake up early, it is still way warmer.
Yeah, and this warm and dry weather also, fire danger is something we have to consider, especially because this extreme drought. Some places within our area, especially in South Georgia, are seeing some fire danger advisories with that really like low humidity and drier air, very dry soil. And so, yeah, we actually are going to share something with the local open here, Ansley. We see something in the background that one of our student meteorologists caught just a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, so this is off in the distance. This is something that Chris Malavey sent in. He's one of our FSU weather people. We're not exactly sure what it is, but you can see it looks a little bit bigger than a burn pile. Who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it's some kind of controlled burn. We haven't gotten confirmations from anywhere if it was some sort of wildfire, but nevertheless, it is still very dry out, and we have those severe drought conditions, so anything can happen, especially with this warm and dry weather. So definitely make sure to take precautions when it comes to lighting anything at this moment. And as we take a look around the rest of the area, we've got a little bit of a prettier scene here. Some pinks. Not sure what's going on with that camera. Wish the sky looked like that, but it kind of mostly does over here. And then a little bit darker in some areas that are a little bit more tree covered. But as we take a look at our live radar, there's not going to be anything outside in the way of you getting out and enjoying the beautiful night that we've got tonight. Temperatures are going to drop off fast, but for right now, they're still in the 70s, 58 up in Valdosta, 60s a little bit further west and near the coast as well. But if we take a look at the dew points, again, that dry trend, 38 here in Tallahassee. I've definitely noticed I have to keep drinking water. My throat gets very dry very easily. As you get a little bit closer to the coast, that's to be expected. It is a little bit more muggy there, 59, but still not very high no matter where you're at. And if we take a look at the feels like, again, those are pretty close to the temperatures. 58 is the same in Valdosta, same here for Tallahassee. And for tonight, we are going to cool down quick. We're going to go dip into the 40s. That is definitely layering weather. I don't know if there's any outdoor activities you're really going for tonight, but if there is, definitely consider bringing some layers with you. And as we take a look at our temperature almanac, we're going to see that the highs are higher than what we normally see and the low is about the same. But basically what this tells us here is that it's drier. When you have a bigger contrast between the highs and the lows, there's more of a range, and that means it's not quite as muggy. And if we take a look at our 12-hour, we're going to see that kind of play into the overnight, where we were at 70. We've dropped off pretty quick since the sun went down, but we're going to continue dipping into the 40s, reaching a low of 46 there as we get into the overnight hours. But Daniela is going to go on and take us to some other places in Florida.
Yeah, thanks, Ainsley. So yeah, around Florida, mostly the sun is set across the eastern sides of the state, but Panama City, more on the western parts of the Panhandle, still seeing that beautiful sunset, much like we are across Doak Campbell Stadium. Temperature staying mostly in the upper 60s to mid 70s as well, but yes, clear skies all around with a couple of passing clouds. And across the state, we are all in the clear, maybe a couple of scattered showers, especially as we take a look here. In South Florida, we had a little bit of looks like a collision going on with sea breeze earlier, a little bit there, but it has seemed to dissipate, and then we have some ground clutter sticking around. But overall, not a lot of rain to worry about across the entire state. We have a dominant high pressure system overcoming our area, so we're expecting lots of sunshine and clear skies and low chances of rain for the rest of the weekend. And those current temperatures are staying consistent across the state, staying in a colder spot, 62 in Jacksonville, 67 in Pensacola, and seeing those mid 70s across the rest of the state. And for tonight, those temperatures are going to begin to drop, especially towards the Panhandle. We're going to see those 40s in Tallahassee and those 50s and 60s throughout the rest of the state, even seeing 71 there in Key West. So it's not like super below average weather. We're actually going to stick above average temperatures and stay like that for quite some time. And going into the middle of your week, maybe some off the shore showers and storms, but other than that, we're going to have some passing clouds, maybe an isolated shower towards central Florida. But other than that, we are high and dry. That's been the trend for quite some time. Miami, as the sun's beginning to set, we have copy-paste forecast for the rest of your work week. Lots of sunshine, those high temperatures staying in the low 80s. Lows sitting in the upper 60s to low 70s. And for Orlando this weekend, or excuse me, this rest of this week, again, much of the same story, copy paste in those 80s, morning lows sitting in the 60s, lots of sunshine, little chances of rain. For Pensacola, much of the same story as well. They have a slight chance of rain going to the end of your work week, but those temperatures are still going to stay consistent, staying in those mid to upper 70s, lows sitting in the 60s. So for tomorrow, we're going to expect, again, another heat up. That state of Florida is going to get quite warm, seeing those 70s in Pensacola and an 80s down the rest of the state. But lots of sunshine to go around in the Sunshine State for your Tuesday. And so, yeah, we're going to take a look back into the southeast with Ainsley.
Yeah, we've got this broad area of high pressure, and this is what it looks like across the southeast. Pretty clear skies and some beautiful looking ones down there in Tampa. It looks like the sun has already set up in Nashville, signaling that temperature difference. You know, you're a little further north and the sun has set, so they're a little bit cooler than we are right now. But as you take a look at the radar, we've got nothing to worry about at all. So again, great night to get outside, go and enjoy it, especially before the sun goes down and it cools off quick. 70s here in Tallahassee and throughout a lot of the Gulf Coast, and then a little bit warmer as you get further down into Miami and a little bit cooler as you get a little further north. 58 up in Nashville, so that's definitely already that layering weather, and they're only going to continue to get colder throughout the night. As we take a look at the dew point trends here, we've got very, very dry. Again, that high pressure, high and dry right there. And then again, the peninsula in Florida, it's mostly expected to see a little bit of that mugginess, and out here as well, a little bit more muggy region pushing its way over, but not yet because we are still, again, very high and dry. 71 here in Tallahassee. That gradient you see as you get down, pretty much the same as what we're seeing for our actual temperatures here. As we take a look at the future, just a couple of passing clouds, maybe a little bit of precipitation as you get a little bit further north, but nothing that's going to impact us here in the state of Florida, except for maybe a touch of those pop-ups that could happen along the coast, those typical Florida expected thunderstorms, and that's going to roll into the weekend. You can kind of see that's some sort of boundary line there, and then it looks like we've got a little bit of round 2 coming that never seems to reach Tallahassee, but it does reach some parts of the southeast here. Boy, do we need it. We could use that rain, that's for sure. As we take a look at tomorrow's outlook, you could get a marginal risk up north of Nashville, so that's going to be kind of our second storm season kick-starting there. Again, those threats that we always look at, just make sure to keep in touch with your local meteorologist, and of course, we'll keep you updated. But Nashville, this is your outlook for the time being. Again, that kind of second coming of the cold front we could see pass through Thursday and Friday. So those lows getting lower, but as we get to those rainy days, there's not as much of a contrast there because they're a little bit more muggy, but cooler as well. As we take a look at New Orleans, they're going to stay pretty warm. They're going to have kind of a copy-paste forecast for the next couple of days. It's expected because they're a little bit closer to the coast, but Friday is when we could see a passage of one of those cold fronts coming through. So they're going to see a little bit more of that rain activity. But Charlotte, you're looking really nice, really pretty. Just a little bit of a slight rain chance on Friday, but look at that. Wednesday, that's beautiful. Thursday, I'll take that as well. That's exactly what we wish we were in right now. But tonight, it's going to dip down quick. 42 up in Charlotte, 40s kind of in this sort of outer region of the high pressure. We've got this high pressure kind of sitting over here, but you can kind of see it gets a little warmer as you go further south, cooler as you go north. Obviously, that's to be expected. And tomorrow, we're going to heat right back up, 80 degrees here in Tallahassee. So we are warming up. We had a little bit of that cold snap last week, but warmer even so as you get further north, 75 in Nashville in November. So that is something, a little bit of a change of pace, especially from years past. But Daniela's going to take you around the country and tell you if it still plays out that way.
Yeah, around the country, we have a little bit of a variety of weather going on besides the dominant dry weather that we have across the southeast. Not everyone has seen a whole lot of sunshine, but we certainly have a whole rainbow across the United States in terms of our temperature gradient, seeing 85 in San Antonio, 39 in Bismarck. So that is the temperature difference we're seeing all across the board, but lots of sunshine going around. We do have, however, some rain that we'll watch for, but take a look at this. The current dew points across the entire country are fairly low. I mean, check this out. We're in the teens here in Denver, even in the teens up in DC. Dew point of 27 in Atlanta, and then we have this like moisture river going on through some of the edge of the southeast and into splitting Texas right in half, and then of course Peninsula of Florida, again seeing that moisture, but that's very typical for them all around year round. But also the concern is the drought is expected to continue in places that are already in a little bit of trouble. So especially places out in the southwest are going to continue to see that drought. Same with parts of Texas just south of Houston. And then of course our area in the Big Bend and South Georgia. Unfortunately, we don't see a lot of relief coming soon in terms of rain and mitigating this drought. But across the country, we're going to take a look at a couple of systems we got going on. We got a few low pressure systems. We'll first see this one moving onshore off of the Pacific onto California, San Francisco, and parts of Southern California, seeing some rain. And we even have some winter weather up in the upper elevations. So that is something to look out for out in Cali, but at least they're getting some rain. Up into the Midwest, we have another low pressure system just south of Rapid City, maybe bringing a little bit of mixed precip across North Dakota, and that is expected to continue to move east overnight. And then we have a little bit of a strong storm just west of St. Louis. That is something to watch out for. So a little bit pop-up severe storms in the area. And then up in the northeast, we do have plenty actually of lake effect snow as we have those northerly winds moving down over the lake. And so parts of New York, Pennsylvania, all the way up into Maine are going to continue to see some lake effect up into tonight and into tomorrow. So in terms of that, with all that weather going on, we do have some active alerts. So of course in California with that low pressure system, there is some flood watches and warnings as well as some winter weather advisories. Same goes for the upper elevations up in Denver. Minneapolis with that low pressure system moving just to their south. They're going to to see some potential of winter weather and even some mixed precipitation going into the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. So yes, let's take a little zoom in here. We have some wind advisories along the coast, so definitely don't advise to go out on the water. And again, those flood advisories up in the deserts in Las Vegas is something to watch out for, and then also some winter weather. So they're going to see a little bit of everything out west. In terms of the Northeast, we do also have a winter weather advisory for those higher elevations up in Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia, and also those high wind advisories across the North Atlantic coast. Now, for that rain moving across the country for tomorrow, mostly staying on the non-severe side, especially out in the southwest. However, in terms of the middle of the country here and going into the eastern parts of the country, we will have a marginal risk. So there will be the chance of an isolated severe thunderstorm and a couple of strong thunderstorms as well moving into those areas. But overall, we can expect a couple of isolated cells to have potential of hail and maybe some gusty winds. But other than that, just expect some strong thunderstorms and scattered showers into your Tuesday. Now, in terms of taking a look into the next couple of days, lots of low pressures moving across the country, shifting their way east. So we'll continue to see some rain fizzling out all across the country as they move west to east, and lots of cloud cover. But again, you can see here in the southeast that dominant high pressure. There is lots of dryness going on over there, unfortunately. We're hoping one day we'll get to see a little bit more of that rain. For tonight, we're going to have a plethora of temperatures, seeing it in those 20s in Bismarck, 30s in Minneapolis, and the farther south you go, the warmer we will get. We got 70 as the low in Dallas. Since when was it summer in November? Don't know when it happened. I wish I knew. I wish I got the memo, to be honest with you. For tomorrow, that rainbow gradient is back. Seeing 87 in Dallas-Fort Worth, creeping up to 90 degrees in mid-November. Definitely wasn't on my bingo card for this year, but Salt Lake City seeing those 50s, and the cool down, everything will begin to warm back up, as I'm trying to say here. And that temperature outlook for your Thanksgiving is going to look very warm for much of us. Those out west are going to be a little bit more lucky, but those temperatures are going to stay around average for what they expect this time of year. But everyone else is going to, unfortunately, probably not wear sweaters for Thanksgiving this year, and I'm a little upset about that, to be honest. Nothing better than, you know, watching or wearing sweaters on Thanksgiving, especially Christmas too, but hopefully we'll have a little better luck going on to Christmas. But now we're circling back to home with Ansley closing us out. So what's going on?
Yeah, we're going to give you one last look at the local. We're catching the tail end of the sunset here, 70 here in Tallahassee, and it looks like our range isn't too big yet. 64 up in Valdosta, so cooling off just a tad. Live radar, nothing that you have to worry about, just a little bit of that ground scatter starting to pop up here. But again, of course, a beautiful night. 71 is our temperature, like we said, 58 up in Valdosta. I think that disagrees with what we just had. I think it said 64, but I believe 58 because the sun has been down for a while there. Future radar, not much that we have to worry about, just a couple of passing clouds, but that is about it. We are expected to be pretty dry for the time being. And as we take a look at what we're going to dip down to tonight, 45 here and a little bit cloudy. I think I might disagree with that a little too. I think it's going to be pretty clear for the night and that light breeze. And as we take a look at tomorrow, I would shoot to walk your dog later. The later the better, unless you really like the cold. But 7 a.m. is definitely not the time to go and walk your dog, especially if you hate the cold. Tomorrow we are going to heat right back up. We're going to shoot up to 80 and that wind is going to be light, but we're going to be really clear, really sunny. And as we take a look at what we've got for the week ahead, we've got these drier conditions. You can kind of see that with the contrast in the highs and the lows. Lots of sunshine, plenty of it up until Saturday. And then we could see a little bit of a cold front potentially pass through if it makes it all the way to our area. And of course, we'll keep you updated on that. But then Monday is the only other rain chance you might have that's a little bit elevated. But with all of this beautiful weather, we're going to be talking about what we've got to do with it. Daniela, what is your choice?
You know, looking at the 7-day, I'm a little hurt. I would like to see some lower temperatures. I'm looking at the 80s and I'm just like,
yeah, for me, it's not so much the temperatures as it is the dryness. I really wanted that like middle ground. We went from being really muggy to really dry.
Yeah.
And now like talking through this, my throat is already dry, like, and it's usually not.
So funny. Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because everyone, like, it wasn't just me, but a lot of people today were like, gosh, why is my throat so dry? I'm so thirsty. What's going on? And then my lips have been dry and I'm like, why are my lips dry?
Yeah, no amount of water has helped
No,
me today,
nothing.
unfortunately. I probably don't drink enough water, but even then, I don't
The
believe
only
it.
benefit is that at least our hair doesn't get too frizzy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's
it gets
the
a
one
little
thing.
staticky, but I would way rather have that than frizz.
Like, this is better, like, usually summer months, lion's mane. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's just
These
like,
curls would not hold
No.
at all whatsoever.
yeah, but definitely a little bit of a disappointment if you're expecting a cool down anytime soon. That is not going to be anticipated, but those morning lows at least will be a little bit on the cooler side. So if you want to go on a morning run, walk, enjoy those outdoors, the morning time will definitely be your better time. But at least those 80s are not going to be humid 80s, they're going to be dry 80s. So I guess that's the silver lining in all of this.
Yeah, a little bit. And hopefully this kind of keeps the sickness at bay. I feel like what we always get
That's
when
true.
it starts to get cold. It started a little bit during the cold snap, and then once that was away, everybody snapped out of it.
Yes.
So hopefully the warmer weather will keep all the illnesses at bay.
We're hoping and praying, but make sure to follow us on X at FSU Weather.
And also make sure to like us on Facebook at FSU Weather.
And also, don't forget, make sure to follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather.
And if you're watching right now on YouTube, subscribe to us at FSU Weather.
And lastly, don't forget, we are on TikTok, so make sure to follow us there at FSU Weather. And here's one last look at your dry and warm 7-day.